Hello, everybody. My name is Hazel Baker, and lovely to not see you this evening. I am a London tour guide. I run London guided walks, and I have 7 other amazing tour guides working with me, showing you the very best that London has to offer. And we really specialise in delivering tours for Londoners. So lovely to see you all today. So as I said, my name is Hazel Baker, and you're with me for an hour, you lucky, lucky people. And we're going to be looking at the best of the sparkle that London has to offer. And I bet that you're happy to be at home in the warmth tonight, because it's absolutely tipping it down in Greenwich. That's where I am today. So it's a little bit interactive, the tour. It would be lovely to know where you are from. So you can text me or you can WhatsApp me. I've got my mobile phone right here, and it'd be lovely to get to know where people are from. We've had people from the States, from LA, it must be early, and also from Florida and New York, Wisconsin. We've had people from Germany, France, the Philippines, and all across the UK. So it'd be nice to see where you are from as well. So what I have is a 43-minute tour of the lights of London that you can see in the streets now. And I wanted to take a little bit of an opportunity with looking at the silver lining for the situation that we're in now at the moment with COVID, because of course, normally I would do a physical tour on the streets of London. But with being a little bit further away, I thought, you know what, why don't I include some of the lights from across London, things that we wouldn't be able to do physically. And that's exactly what I've done today. So thank you for joining me there. So I will keep, so everyone's being a little bit quiet. So please don't be shy. The more interactive you are, the more bespoke the tour gets. So give us a shout out to where you are. But also, if you have a question for us, because there will be time for questions at the end of the tour, or if you would like to give a shout out to anybody that you're with on the tour as well, to say hello or how much you love them or appreciate them, or just to say a Merry Christmas, then I'm very happy to do that as well. And I've had one shout out already to David and Linda. Have a very Merry Christmas from your daughter Ali. So that one's just for you. I hope you enjoy the tour. London normally at Christmas time is on steroids. It goes crazy. But this year it's a little bit more subdued. Not sad, just subdued. I suppose with fewer crowds out, especially with Boris Johnson's announcement tonight and going into Tier 4, there is very little incentive to really go out. But saying that, there still are some beautiful lights to be found. So if you are all insisting on staying quiet, and just checking my phone there, then I will begin. So don't forget, you can text, you can WhatsApp while I'm talking. I won't look at my phone until after I've given the tour anyway, so you won't interrupt me. Don't worry about that. And then I will give the shout outs and I will answer questions after that. All righty. So what I will do now is that I will share my screen. That means that the screen will go black for you, but you should still be able to hear me. Ta-da! How about that? All righty. So all we need to do now is get going with the show. So as I said, 43 minutes of the tour. It is a combination of pictures and videos. but with a live voiceover as well. All right. So 5 minutes past 6, not bad for timing. Let's get going. So this is an opportunity to say we have plenty of Christmas fair around London. It's not just about lights and sparkle. How about this? Pretty in Pink. This is in Chelsea. This is all with the studio of the artist Turner. And I love the matching pink doors and also the reeds on here. I love how they are so full with things. Mine's a little bit spindly, really, compared to these ones. And I love how it's all matching as well. You know, you don't have to go for the traditional red, gold and green, and that is something of a bit of a fashion this year in 2020 in London, seeing a lot of pink coming about. Not quite sure why, but I think it's something to do with the Instagram people. So if you have an Instagram account, then you probably have already ran over to Belgravia to check out Peggy Portion. Peggy Portion is a lovely little bakery in Belgravia, and throughout the year they decorate the bakery with different themes. And I love how they're doing the nutcracker here. You can see the pink nutcrackers, but also the candy canes and gingerbread. We don't get to see very many candy canes in this country compared to America. Must admit, I'm not a particular fan, but I do like how they've used that and also the combination of the dry flowers, because of course, you know, live flowers aren't going to last very long, and also it means that the color is continued throughout the season as well. So I'm not quite sure if you would consider it Christmassy or not, but I do like that they've actually tried a little bit. And don't forget, with Belgravia, it is a bit more of a destination. You've got to go out of your way to get there. There's the closest tube stations, I suppose, Hyde Park Corner, Knightsbridge, or indeed Victoria. So you've got to get to it via somewhere else. And so they need to create a reason for you to visit. But they also do have very, very nice cakes. And this is another one here. This is EL&N. This is yet another bakery. It kind of gives me the idea that maybe I am in the wrong business if you can afford to do an installation like this. This was done by an East London architect called Holland Harvey. And the EL&N, it's a bit difficult to say that. It's called the Tree of Hope. And they are using their iconic, let me just move this around so you can see, there we go, that's better, isn't it? You can see the carousel horses, and this is what they're known for in their cakes. They do these wonderful delicate little horses for cakes, so they're incorporating that with this tree. And yes, it's a little bit pink, but I do think it is a nice idea, because what they have in creating that cone of the tree is 1,200 meters of ribbon, and on those ribbons are messages from frontline key workers. Messages of hope. And it might look small, this, but of course we're in King's Cross, St Pancras, and it's 34 feet high, this, and it is rather impressive when you see it in this kind of space, because this is such a huge space anyway. And one of the reasons why EL and N Cafe have put their Tree of Hope here, of course it's indoors, but also they have a brand new cafe here, and they've got a brand spanking new one on Carnaby Street as well. So they've got the Carnaby Street, St Pancras, Selfridges, and also Park Lane. So it gives you an idea of the kind of places and the people that they're wanting to attract with their bakery. And these are the little cakes. So they're doing 10% of any sales that are made from the miniature Tree of Hope cakes in their cafes. Then you can actually buy one as well. I did have a look at getting a pink one, but you know what? They also have green Christmas tree ones, which were too cute to refuse. So I had one of them, and also a Nutella hot chocolate, and it was divine as it sounds. So it's worth sometimes having a little look at what things new happening each year with the lights, because of course we are very well known for our achievements here in London. And what about this? Isn't this in your face? So I'll move it round to the right hand side, I think. Just get that there. So this for me, it's still pink, still got on this pink theme, but it does look like someone has, well, let's just say, thrown a load of neon lights onto the Tate Britain. And the Tate Britain is a marvellous gallery on Millbank, so not too far from the Houses of Parliament. And I do like it. I think because there's plenty to see, different textures, different colours, and also using this classical building as its canvas. And you might have seen last year's one with the big slugs, illuminated slugs. So this is going full out in another way, and it's entitled "Remembering a Brave New World," as it says up at the top of the building. But it's by Chilia Kamari Singh Burman, who is an artist from Liverpool. And she has combined her childhood memories into this neon artwork. And those memories include trips to Blackpool Illuminations. I have some of those memories as well, going with the guides and a coach. And also her parents had an ice cream van. And the ice cream van was pink. So I do love how she's incorporated this as well. So if I just let this play, I think sometimes when you're looking at a piece of art, it is all about angles. And I do like looking at it from a distance because you don't get to see some of the, well, how it's put together, really, the technical stuff. You're just able to sort of be given receive the wow factor. But as you get closer, you get to see the mesh that the lights are on. So they're not damaging the building whatsoever. And this was all part of the annual light festival that the Tate Britain has been doing the last couple of years. And this one launched for Diwali. And as you see, you can get up close, and this is a tiger, and you can see the movement in the tiger really quite beautifully. But as you get closer, like now, it kind of suddenly just becomes a masher of colours and difficult to work out. But what is nice, I like, is that you can actually walk up the building and have a look at things close up. It's not always from a distance. So if you go to Kew Gardens, for example, they have their fantastic lights display on, and you're sort of given a route to go around, and you don't often get in amongst the lights. So that's our theme of pink. The next theme is seeing red. So this is Annabelle's Mayfair. So this, I love this. Annabelle's do something every year, and I must admit I got a little bit worried this year because when I went just at the beginning of December, there was nothing. And I was like, no. I do the tour every year. I do. It needs to be put something up. And then I saw on Instagram that they had finally got it up, and I was able to whiz over and take this. So as you can see, this is a take on the Nutcracker. So the pas de nœud, you can see in the windows, you've got the two ballet dancers, and they're actually projections into the windows. So you can actually watch these beautiful ballet dancers doing what they do best. You can see these huge nutcrackers. They're 16 feet high. And then, of course, you have this huge sort of stage set with the curtain as well. And they've projected the pink. Works particularly well, I think, on the ground floor with the stucco. And then they have the gold, the red and the gold baubles, predominantly red. That is one of their brand colours anyway. But I do think if I just described it to you without seeing you, I think you'd think it was a bit tacky, but I do think they have kept the charm. Every year, this is a private members club, by the way, Annabelle's, and every year they have a Christmas fair. But this year they have moved it online, so anyone can go in. You don't need to be a member. So you can buy an Annabelle's bauble for £20, or if you want to flash some of that cash, then you can get 4 napkin rings for £240. I think I'll leave that one. So as you can see, the doorman has even got a matching green mask to go with his coat. The doorman into between red and green coats. And I think it's rather cleverly done, rather fun. And this was last year, so they see the red coats this time. The doormen are wearing their bow ties as well. Huge candy canes to create the arch, and they always get their branding in there with the red, and then also the right font for the Annabelles. And it's a huge Christmas tree. And this is in Chelsea. So you might have noticed that the ivy has popped up all around London. So there's quite a new number of franchises now. There's one in Chelsea. And this one, I think, is my favourite out of all the ivies that I've seen. The one in Soho is the same as last year's, but it is beautiful pastels. And they've made Christmas tree shapes out of baubles. But this one, they've gone sort of cute, Santa's grotto, North Pole. So you can sit in that sleigh and have your photo taken. And then on the right-hand side here, you can actually stand and have your photo taken. And look at the building above as well. And when you've got something as beautiful this, you know, you have to do it justice, I think. All right. So another theme that we're seeing on the streets of London this year is multicoloured. So we went for a couple of years of just having plain lights, but the multicoloured is coming back. So here are some of the best examples. So this is Paddington Basin. If you haven't been to Paddington Basin in the last couple of years, you would not recognise it going back. They have redeveloped it. As you can see, there are lots and lots of new flats. Let's hope it's all with the right cladding. They have nice side pavements now, footpaths along the canal around the basin. It feels very safe. And I think it's lovely how they've now added lights in here. They never used to do this. You know, this wasn't a space that you could enjoy before. So, and then got to see here, you can see the little boys after school. It's only about 4 o'clock when I went out, but you can see how big the tree is compared to those. But in terms of decorating it, I do like how a tree is filled with light. You know, there's nothing else on it. It's just lights. But there are a few bold patches, which they could have fixed, I think. But that is the challenge with having a real tree. So if I just show you that one again, so I talked about a real tree. Well, this is a beautiful fake tree. It is effectively a cone illuminated. This is in Wembley. So you come out of Wembley station to the stadium, and this is what you see. So they've lit the avenue of trees up as well. Plain blue white on the left, but then they've used the multicolour on the right to go with the multicolour buildings as well, using the buildings to create an avenue. You know, you want to walk through this. And then, as I mentioned, the tree in itself, this is rather technicoloured, and it's so bright. If you look at the star at the very top, I couldn't work out how the star was actually put together. It was so bright. I really should have taken my sunglasses. All right. And then carrying on with the multicoloured, this is Canary Wharf. So if you went to their Lights Festival last year, you may recognise this, but it's very quiet at the moment. So I didn't have to wait for anybody to get off the benches in order to take a photo. If you come out the main exit of Canary Wharf station and take a left, then you'll be able to start the very free trail, and you'll be able to see this installation in the fountains first. During Diwali, when Tate Britain turned on their pink lights, and they had lights with floating flowers in here, which I thought was lovely. And then they've now gone back to what they had last year. But you know, if it's not broke, then why fix it? I think it's nice because you can see how close you are to it as you're walking through. And then my particular favourite kind of light, normally, this is what I have on my personal treat in the living room, is the warm white lighting. Makes you all fuzzy on the inside, or it certainly does me. And how about this? You know, you might think warm light is conventional and boring, but here they have 42 Christmas trees all decorated in lights, who are then put on what you might not be able to see is actually it's the Churchill Arms pub on Kensington Church Lane. Now, this is a pub where Churchill's grandparents used to go for a regular drink, so hence the name. But they are also Chelsea Flower winners, because in the summer they put loads of beautiful baskets, flower arrangements on the outside. And so not many pubs can say that they've won a Chelsea Flower Award. But a little bit different, not quite sure. I think it's, I like it, but I do like how they've actually tried something different. And once again, if you know where this pub is, it's not too far from Notting Hill Gate Station, but you still have to get there. It's not right near public transport that way. So they're making it a feature for you to go to. And they've got a Thai restaurant upstairs. And it was the first pub to have a Thai restaurant in London. See, didn't know that, did you? Okay. So carrying on with this warm light, I just love these. Very simple spheres and rings, creating the shape of a Christmas tree. So less obvious as maybe some of the others. And these are in and around the area of Victoria, which has gone through a massive transformation. And this section here is brand new. Lots of new restaurants and breakfast places and coffee places. There's a lovely vegan cupcake place as well. And as you can see, lots of seating. So if you're in the office during the day and you want to actually go out and see some sunshine during your lunch, there are now places to sit, whereas before you didn't want to hang around here. This was just building sites for many years. So it's nice to see they're making an effort with the lights, and also I suppose it reflects the style of the area that they're wanting to give as well. And this is where I live, Greenwich. And this is the Cutty Sark, the very last remaining Victorian tea clipper that we have in the world. And they've gone Christmassy as well. So at the very front mast there, you should be able to see in the shape of a Christmas tree with a very, very bright star on top. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer on that one. But I like this, why change the essence of who you are? Just embrace the Christmas and the sparkle as you're lit up anyway. So nice little addition there. And then also in light installations, which I can interact with, walk through, I do enjoy. So this is on Duke of York Square. And I took it in the day because I couldn't really get a decent one at night because you don't really get to see the size of it. But there is, as you can see, the arrow, this is the way out. There was another one for you to do the way in for social distancing. And I do like to being able to walk through these things as well. So, it shows you don't need to go all out. You can have a little bit. And of course, it makes you want to go into the square because, of course, there are businesses there. You might not want to go down an alleyway, but going down a well-lit, well-decorated alley might be a little bit different. And then, of course, in complete contrast, we have Leadenhall Market. This is in the city of London. Absolutely exquisite architecture by Sir Horace Jones, the City of London architect, who also did Tower Bridge, Billingsgate Market, and also Spitalfields Market. This is it. Say at the moment, the other week, while we still had social distancing, you can see people out and having a drink. A very nice cheese shop, which is where people are sitting down, and you can get your ham and charcuterie there as well. Got some nice manchego there from the Sunday, and you can see the lovely Christmas trees illuminated up out of the way. And when I was there on this Sunday, they even had a huge snowflake rotating projected onto the ceiling, but they didn't have that when I was there earlier in the month. And they also had some fake snow as well. So if you want to see a video of that, then check out my Instagram, walk_London. I've done a little video there. But they always have a Christmas tree one way or another. And I think you can see how historic a marketplace this is. They haven't taken away from that by adding the Christmas decorations. It's the actual building that's the real star. And then how about this, I think this is simply the most beautiful Christmas tree. Once again, a bit like the one we saw at Paddington Basin, absolutely filled with lights. Very few bold spots on this one, but just like the Wembley one, this is a real fake. It's not a tree at all, it's a cone. The foliage is fake. There's no trunk when you start looking at it, but you've got to sort of just appreciate the magic on it. I mean, I think it's beautiful, understated elegance for the neoclassical architecture of St. Paul's Cathedral in the background. So yes, it's. I think this is one just like the Tate Britain, where it works if you're just a little bit further away and you don't see the mechanics of it. Every year prior to this, St. Paul's or the City Corporation of London have used a real tree. So I'm not quite sure whether this is going to be a permanent change. We shall see. And then on the south bank, this is Hayes Galleria, beautiful yellow gold as well, where the Christmas tree is. That is where the ships in the Victorian times would come in and unload all of their wares that they have imported from across the world. And 85% of dried imported goods came in via Hayes Galleria during the Victoria era, and it got the name London's Larder. And I do love how they've used the light to cover the poles to show you how tall this building is. And then a little bit further down, you can see Tower of London and Tower Bridge. They've done these light installations as well. Now, normally there's a Christmas market here outside the City Hall building. Here it is at night. And I do like the little touch of the red and the blue. However, I'm a little bit confused why they chose to go blue with the fox when they could have easily done an orange. But I think it's still rather tasteful. Alrighty, so as promised, that was our just little warm-up section of things that I wouldn't be able to include on a regular physical tour. So with the West End lights, this is a tour that you will physically be able to do, and I will send you a link, a PDF of all the places that I'm going to talk about, so you can revisit in your own time, maybe when we're out of Tier 4. But this is to remind you that in the 1950s, we had Christmas lights as well. Maybe not as spectacular, but we also had smog. That isn't damage on the photo there. That is the smog, 1952 smog, that one. So what you can see there is that the light is, the star at the very top is illuminated, which has been a bit of a fashion nowadays, and the star is still the same. So this is what it looked like at the beginning of December. You can see the lights are different. So now we've got these vertical lights, and that's because this is the way the Norwegians traditionally dress their Christmas trees. And that is because the tree is Norwegian. It comes from Norway as a gift from the people of Norway as a thank you for our assistance during World War II. And you know, with gifts, you really should appreciate them and shouldn't say anything negative at all. But of course, it doesn't look as wonderful around here with the National Portrait Gallery and National Gallery than usual, because there's usually a Christmas market as well, and Christmas carols kicking off normally the first Thursday of December. So maybe we'll get back to normal next year. And if we take a right, this is where we get to the Strand. So maybe you know the song, "Let's all go down the Strand." Well, this is it. So the Strand is parallel to the Thames, and also parallel to the South Bank on the other side of the Thames. And you can see with the light decorations, they're garlands with huge baubles on. And in the middle, in the bauble, you'll be able to see that it says North Bank. And this is a new marketing thing. They're trying to rebrand the area, especially knowing how successful the South Bank is. But of course, you know, they've had that since the 1950s with the Festival of Britain. North Bank is a new idea. They're wanting to attract people there. However, it's always absolutely crammed with traffic jams all the time. It's not the nicest place to go. But they have some wonderful theatres here. The Adelphi Theatre and Art Deco one. Also, the Savoy Theatre is absolutely beautiful. And then moving up from the Strand, up Bedford Street, you get to Henrietta Street. And Henrietta Street is coming into Covent Garden, and it's parallel to King Street. And it's, Charles I, and then Princess Henrietta, Queen Henrietta Maria. And the white vertical lines along the buildings I really do like, because you want to walk down it, you want to explore it. It's still nice, crisp and clean. It doesn't take too much effort with all the people living in these buildings and the businesses on the ground floor as well. It doesn't interfere too much, and it creates a nice sense of unity. And with Covent Garden really trying to go through this rebranding again about high-end shops, you want to I think that the lights do try and reflect that. And the most famous person that I know of that stayed here in Henrietta Street was the author Jane Austen, when she came and visited her brother John. So if we go from Henrietta Street and we swing round and we get into Covent Garden Piazza. And here we are, it's the beginning of December. Lots of people, it was actually only 3 degrees. You could see stars, which you can't often do in London. I think this is a fantastic Christmas tree, once again, filled with lights. They've not even bothered with a star on the top. They've used those lights, but they've also used these large silver baubles to reflect some of the light from the tree. And then they have white, blue flashing lights in it as well to add a little bit of extra sparkle. There you go. How effective is that? So Covent Garden itself, that you can see the church there on the left, that's St. Paul's Church. It's known as the Actors' Church. So many actors are buried and commemorated in there. And that's the last part of the original Inigo Jones market that we have, Covent Garden Market, which was from the 1600s. They used to have a Santa's grotto at the bottom of this tree, but they haven't for the last couple of years. I think there's just too many crowds normally to do that. In Covent Garden Market, they have lots of different types of lights for you to explore as well. So we're looking slowly across the piazza and seeing the space here. They've got staff on hand as well. There's more staff than usual as well. But once you go inside, look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? This is called, well, the installation is called Meet Me Under the Mistletoe. And it's done by recently deceased Michael Howes. And he is a production designer, or was a production designer. Now, you might not know his name, but you might know his work. He was the production designer of for the film set of Nanny McPhee. So that quirky house and the garden and that was all his. And also he did the productions set for Victoria, the ITV production. So creating Buckingham Palace in an airplane shelter in Norfolk. So with Covent Garden, you've got the upper and the lower. The upper section is Victorian. Look at the size of those lamps. The disco ball adds a nice little bit of extra movement as well. The mistletoe itself, they are between 2.5 and 3.5 meters in size. Which is pretty impressive. And they were supposed to be doing new lights this year, but I think with COVID and all the rest of it, maybe they just thought it's worth holding on to what they have already got. So I mentioned about the mistletoe, but they also had 320 garlands in Covent Garden, which also incorporated 100,000 pea lights. So I'm not quite sure who counted those, but you can see the pea lights now and the garlands outside. And these Christmas trees are decorated by businesses who have a shop in Covent Garden, just to bring a little bit of the personal touch and also shop brands to the forefront. Around we go. I bet you haven't seen a Lego Christmas tree before. That's what that one is. And moving on up, this is where you get to see the size of things. So when you've got a big building, it's really difficult to make anything else, any other lights or any installations, make them look big as well. It could be not very impactful at all. But I think they've done rather well here in using the space and having the decorations fitting those ones as well. So this is Pollard's Toy Shop. And then Lego, for a number of years now, have done some sort of installation at Covent Garden. So I'm not quite sure why Santa Claus is holding a cookie. Should be having a mince pie. We're in England. And then there's Mario Brother on the left. But the new bit is that they've included computer screens within the Lego now. That's the new thing that they're offering, and it's all because they're doing a new pop-up, so it's absolutely free. Not quite sure what they're going to be doing now with the recent installation updates with tier 4, but this is it. So you get your free ticket and your bubble can walk around and have a look and get up close and personal to the to the Lego, and it's where you have like there's a beautiful princess, but she's actually slaying the dragon for a change, and he's looking rather dapper as well. And this dino, I think my nephew would like that. That was even taller than me. And then we're in James Street, walking north. So Covent Garden Tube Station is just a little bit along here. And they've got, normally this would be filled with street performers, and that's a very, very different. So the Nag's Head, nice Victorian pub, but there was one there in 1690 when the square was being built. And then also you've got the White Lion, which used to be known as the White Hart, and this is Floral Street. So lots of designer shops here, very simple, warm white lighting, but it is inviting. And then the vertical white along the breathing wall, the living wall, these are all plants to try and add oxygen to the rest of our air. And then we're going into Seven Dials. So Seven Dials covers quite a lot of space, actually. So it's always a challenge to work out how they're going to be doing the light. So as you can see, they've used the yellow constant light and then the blue-white light for the flashing to add the little bit of sparkle. And they have used these lights years ago. This is an area that now has lots of funky shops. I lived here for over 5 years when I was young and funky myself. It did happen once upon a time. And so they've obviously gone back to what they had in store rather than commissioning something brand new. But what I wanted to show you is something you might not have noticed, and you can see this any time, not just winter, but this here above Holland and Barrett is the Neal's Yard water clock. And it's on Shorts Gardens, out of all the little streets. It's Shorts Gardens. And when Covent Garden Market closed in 1974 and they moved to Nine Elms, where they are now, Michael Loftus in 1982 wanted people to remember his store and keep coming back. He developed a whole food store originally, and then it moved to a dairy and also an apothecary. And so he commissioned this water clock to attract people. It doesn't work anymore, but I'm not quite sure whether that worked anyway. I mean, do you know about it? Have you heard about it before? It's dark green, it's above the eyesight, maybe it just got missed. And then keeping in the theme of this market and food, they've named this little alleyway Cucumber Alley. And there is a huge food pop-up section in here. I didn't take videos because there were queues because of COVID. Normally you can walk in and share tables and that. But if you want to know the latest fashion food trends, then that is the place to go. So walking out through Cucumber Alleyway and across this street, you go down another little alleyway next to Benefit, and then you come into Neal's Yard, as you can see, formerly known as King's Head Court, because the pub there was called the King's Head. And this is a really special place for me. When I first moved to London 20 years ago, I moved into Covent Garden. I found this place by accident once, and it looks a lot nicer now than it did then. I'm telling you, they've added the colour to the window frames, so you don't need a lot of colour in the lights. I think the white makes it very nice and inviting and quite exciting. Back in the 1980s, this was a very forgotten area. It was all derelict. Now you get your funky vegan and organic shops, and this is where my chiropractor is. But a lot of people don't know about it. And in the summer, it's heaving with French tourists. As in school kids. They've obviously found it on Instagram. They want to find it. So, if I just go back to this, because I don't want to miss this. Oops, sorry. All right. So, so what we also have are street artists sort of showing what they can do. And if you walk from Neal's Yard and follow that man on the bike going left, you get to Monmouth Street. But as you are getting to Monmouth Street, you will see this street art by Bambi. Now, Bambi is a female artist, and she does street art that has got a political twist. So what you can see is that it looks like Mary Poppins, but actually you can see with the face, it is Princess Diana, and the boys are Princes Harry and William. She's wearing extraordinary high heels, but on the back you can see the twist there is Harrods. With a little link to Muhammad in there. So Dodi Fayed obviously was really closely linked with Diana, especially at the end of her life. And so the message here is not everything is as it seems. And then the pink wording there, and he says you can be as naughty as you want, just don't get caught, is what Princess Diana told her oldest son, Prince William. So Monmouth Street, very nice Hotel Chocolat restaurant, not just a shop, a restaurant there. And also Montplaisir, a French restaurant, is very, very nice. And you finally get to see the Seven Dials, you lucky, lucky people. So this was an area laid out in the 1690s by Member of Parliament Thomas Neal. And he created a series of triangles in these houses because rentals were charged per foot of frontage, not per foot of square footage like we do now. And so he was able to charge more with being cheeky and creating these little wedges. But as you can see now with the lights, they use pink and green baubles. Not red and bright green, but a light pink and a light green, which I think are rather tasteful, but get a little bit lost because the lights are so bright. So lots of Georgian frontages around this area as well, which is nice to see that they've maintained compared to around the corner here. So this is all run by the Mercer's Company. The ceiling is a permanent fixture, but the trees are the Christmas installation. And what they've done, light is really important. So they've actually incorporated lights into the buildings. Can you see there on the left? So these are always there, but it's the zigzaggy white lights that we've got here that are the Christmas feature. The whole idea is that, especially with a new area, people don't know you can walk down it, especially if it's dark or uninviting. So the best way is to create light. Now, this is a wonderful art installation. I love walking through it. You won't believe how long it took me to wait for everyone to get out of the way to take this one on. But here we go, waiting yet again. So this is one that just brings joy to people's faces. It goes from white, then pink, and then blue. Here we go. You have to squeeze out the way. But if I can. So if you see the lady's face here on the left, this is what I miss. This is why I miss not doing the real tours with you and seeing the wonder on your faces. Just something simple as this art installation. It's been up for a couple of years now, but it really does bring joy. So what we have here through that art installation, when you walk through the other side, we're back onto Floral Street and opposite Floral Court. And Peterson's Nurseries, which is owned by the Prince of Wales, have used flowers instead of lights, which makes sense if he's running a nursery. But it also is very, very tastefully decorated around here. So once again, this is the street with all those designer shops in. So they're trying to keep it all classy. And then going into Leicester Square, lots of new statues, and this one's illuminated of Wonder Woman. She's the one that's difficult to see. All the others are actually in the square, and this one's just off the side of the View Cinema on Leicester Court. So looking into Leicester Square now. So once the home of the Earl of Leicester, where the casino is on the left, that's where his house was. And this square here was a common square. This is where you'd be able to bring your sheep for grazing, etc. But he wanted to turn it into his private garden. Well, he did actually, and ended up going to court, and the people reclaimed the land. Hurrah! So the light you can see with the extra sparkle makes the icicles look like they're dripping, and of course they're all illuminated. Normally there'll be a Christmas market in here with a theatre, so missing that theatre. But here is a chap you might recognise. Harry Potter. All 8 of the world premieres for Harry Potter took place at the Odeon. 7 of them, the first 7 films, they had their premiere party in Leicester Square, but the 8th one, Deathly Hallows Part 2, they had to have it in Trafalgar Square because the whole square was being done up for London 2012. You might remember that, so that's why we got all the new railings. And then looking that way, see multicoloured W Hotel. That looks like that all the time. And then straight across you have Coventry Street and Piccadilly. But we're not going to go that way. We're going to go round. This is where you get to see some of the new statues, all sponsored by Warner Brothers. So you've got Mary Poppins, and don't ask me why we have Gene Kelly. But he's a gorgeous dancer, so I'm not going to complain too much. Right, so Haymarket. If we're looking to the left, this is the Royal Opera Arcade. I'm not quite sure how many of you have been down there. Beautiful, isn't it? Nice and simple with the protruding windows and doors on the left and the right. So they usually display artwork on the left and the shops on the right. And then what you have here, which are at the right at the bottom of Waterloo Place. It used to be known as Lower Regent Street, but they've sort of rebranded it as well. Nice copper, but they've also used the yellow warm baubles, like the lights, to create baubles, which I think is a really nice touch. A bit strange to have the blue white light on the top, I think, of this, but it's a very popular place at the moment for having photos taken because black cabs are trying to, or they are doing Christmas lights tours in a taxi, and you can actually stop there to have photos. And then this is looking up Regent Street, and this is where we come to the first beautiful angels. This is all part of what's entitled the Spirit of Christmas. And these are all put up in areas that are managed by the Crown Estate. So this is one of the estates that Her Majesty looks after. And there are in total 29 12-foot angels around here. And the angels change in size compared to whichever street they're on. So the biggest angels you get to see are on Regent Street, and when the bus moves out the way, you see we've got some little ones as well. So they're basically aluminium sheeting, these bodies of angels, and then the skirts and the wings are welded on and then spray painted, and then the bulbs are added in by hand. And it's all done by a designer called Paul Dart, who had a shop in Kensington. And he used to create light installations in his shop to get his clients to come back time and time again. And he even did a golf course once time, and he also did a fountain with goldfish in. Not quite sure how appropriate that is nowadays. Anyway, he got invited to do these art installations. So this is St James's Church in Piccadilly, and this is a Sir Christopher Wren build. They normally have a wonderful carol concert. They're normally £37 for a ticket for a carol concert, but it's for charity. And they've had Brian Blessed turn on the lights before, and it's a really, really wonderful affair. And this is all Jermyn Street, which we turned in from Regent Street, predominantly shops dedicated to the man, the gentleman. So you can see how windy it is with the flags. But if we turn around, you can see part of the Fortnum and Mason's building here, and round we go. And we have these arcades. So this is called the Prince's Arcade, and this one was originally opened in 1883, and then it was reopened for the Royal Institute of Painters in 1933. And Fortnum and Masons, they use their windows as doors to an advent calendar. So you can see when I took it, because only the 4 is lit up, nothing later. And I do think they've done it for the 3 years now, and I think it's very dramatic, and it makes people come back again and again, because of course each day another door is lit up. Wonderful window decorations in here as well. You might know already that this is over a 300-year-old business. It started in 1707 when William Fortnum, who was a footman of Queen Anne, he boosted his income by selling her used candles. And he rented a room from shopkeeper Hugh Mason, and then they became business partners as a grocers. And that's how Fortnum and Masons turned up. If you'd like to know more about Fortnum and Masons, I have a 20-minute Christmas food podcast for you to listen to. I'll send you a link in the email afterwards, and you'll be able to hear the history of Fortnum and Masons, but also Rudberry's Brothers just round the corner as well. 2 businesses offering food and drink that are over 300 years old, which I just think is absolutely fabulous. Okay, so down the road, we're on Piccadilly now. Just waiting for it to do. I think I get a bit over enthusiastic with Fortnum and Masons. It is so pretty, I must admit. And the red isn't normally there. That's just for added on for the Christmas. And also the little clock in the middle. And that was a 1960s add-on. And actually Hugh Mason and William Fortnum come out on the hour, and they sort of say hello to one another there. So you can watch that as well if you time it right. And so another arcade. There are quite a few around here. So this is called Piccadilly Arcade, because yes, we are on Piccadilly, just to get you familiar with where you are. So Piccadilly Street, it's only the 2nd year that we've had Christmas lights on it. We didn't have them before. It was always quite dark. And then Burlington Arcade, my second favourite arcade, I think. Very tasteful with the red and the white, but also the greenery. And as you can see, anyone with an Instagram account is standing here with a red dress. So I've been back a few times, and it has been sponsored by Moet. So that's what it looks like when it's nice and quietish. And you can walk all the way through. Rather beautiful. And then that's what it looks like in the summer. So still beautiful anyway. Whole load of history that I can tell you about Burlington Arcade, but we just don't have the time looking at it. All right, so from Burlington Arcade and you flip through, you get to Old Bond Street. And as you walk down Old Bond Street, you walk through and under these peacock feathers, which I think are really quite staggeringly beautiful in a way. Maybe a little bit too close, and then they look a bit tacky. If you walk down there, you get to the Royal Arcade, which is another Victorian arcade. Beautiful architecture anyway. So why go overboard with the decorations? And then a little bit further up Old Bond Street, you get to New Bond Street. And did you know that we don't have a Bond Street like on the Monopoly board? We have old and we have new. This is Elizabeth Finks. You might know her shepherd statue in Paternoster Square. So here we have Cartier, and we got Boodles, and we got Stella McCartney, all competing for your attention for the sparkle. And then we're in Lancaster Place when we look a little bit up. So this is normally filled with people sitting outside with the heaters, with the restaurants, but of course all of that's closed. So it's nice to see the space in itself. Tiny, tiny place. But at the end of it, you get Hush Bar and Restaurant. So if you've got a little dog, they will accept dogs. And it's very funky. Used to go on a lot of dates here. And then, let me just go back to one. Here we go. So this is South Molton Street. These I simply love because it's an energetic blue. And you can walk through these and it just puts a smile on my face. And they have little side streets as well. This is an area I'm very familiar with. I used to work on Grosvenor Street. It was my first job in London. And so this was somewhere I'd come a lot at lunchtime. There's lots of little side streets, which if they're not well lit, you don't know that you actually can walk down. And it was really lovely walking through, and you're seeing families interacting and smiling and being with one another. The street art, these benches, new benches and flower pots and that, they're all brand new, and they're done by female street artists called Camilla Walhalla. And I think this is my favourite street, just because you've got the beautiful Victoria, the Georgian architecture, most of it. This one you can see is Victorian, but also the lights, they're not too small for the space. And I suppose my least favourite lights out of all are the Oxford Street ones. I think it's really difficult lighting a street that is so well lit anyway. How are you going to get that impact? I think the wording in the neon, the lights are, it's clever, but I think they only work when you actually take a still photo. When you're looking at it in real life with all the other lights, with the people moving and the buses and all the rest of it, I don't think you really get the message that they're trying to convey. However, Regent Street, so this is the north section of Regent Street here, and then the south section, I think, really rather beautiful. And you might remember they went through a few years where they did really commercial sponsored lights, and usually a film, and I just really didn't like those at all. But they've redeemed themselves now. So this is Liberty, a gorgeous shop. Today they've only got 12 Christmas trees decorating it. Last year they had 22. But it's the sign of the times, I suppose. And Liberty is made out of 2 Victorian warships. Yes. So beautiful staircases and that inside, and the window decorations for Christmas are really quite sublime as well. They make a lot of effort on how they present everything. And then round the corner from Liberty, you have something very, very different and very purple, and that is Carnaby Street. So this is all part of the positive message, the hope message. It's called Choose Love, which is also a charity providing help, assistance for refugees. And they even have a pop-up shop open until Christmas Eve, supposedly. So maybe tonight's the last day, where you can actually buy a blanket, for example, and that will go to a refugee in need somewhere across the world. But they couldn't tell me where in the world. It just depends on what's needed at the time. Also on Carnaby Street, they have the UK's first ever vending machine for fashionable face masks. So if you need a new one, you know where to go. And what they've done with this area is that they've used the magenta purple to connect the whole area of Carnaby Street. Normally when you say Carnaby Street, you expect to see the street, but now Carnaby Street is synonymous with the area. And so having light at the end of these little alleyways, you know that you can walk down, there's going to be something there at the end. Very powerful with this pink and the purple, I think. Very similar to the ones they did a couple of years ago, which were red, white and black, but the white made the red look pink, actually. And these were a couple of years old, actually. They were so well liked and went down so well on the main Carnaby Street that they're now permanent on Ganton Street. And lots of Georgian architecture here being illuminated by the bright pink lights. But I do like to see buildings being used exactly how they were designed for when they were first went up in the 1820s. And then here we are on Regent Street again. The largest angels are in this section of Regent Street because the street is the widest. I think they really look rather fantastic without the people in. So all left for me to remain is to thank you very, very much for joining me today. I know I've got a few texts coming through, so this will give you an opportunity to type any questions or comments that you have as well. So let's see what we have. So shout out. You've all been rather quiet. Hi Hazel, greetings from Sarah and Tony in Ealing. Loving the sights. Hello Sarah and Tony. I miss you. I miss you very, very much. Thank you for joining us this year. At least it's drier when we're inside, isn't it? So if anybody has any other questions, I'm aware the time is 7 o'clock, but if you have any comments either of any of your favourite lights, then I am very happy to take those. So if I stop sharing, I reappear. Hello, hello. So you've all been very quiet tonight. So I hope you're all still there, because I can't see you, but you can see me. No? So all that remains for me to do then, if you're going to remain quiet, is to thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it and you got to see some of the sparkle. If you felt that you can go out onto the streets, it's better being safe than sorry. There's always next year. And as I said, I will send you the route that I took for the West End lights anyway. So if you do want to repeat where I've been when lockdown has been lifted, then you are very welcome to do so. And I will send you the link for the podcast on Fortnum and Mason as well. Don't forget, reviews are always appreciated as well. We're a very small business trying to survive in 2020. And so reviews really help share the love that you have for London, the love that you've had for the tour with others as well. And that would be very much appreciated. So if nothing else, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas, no matter what you end up doing. And I wish you all a very happy and healthy New Year. Bye-bye now.